Hello, my name is Milena Kajba, and today I'm going to present to you our research titled Process Optimization of the Selected Business Using a Process Approach. Here you can see authors' photos. On the left is mine, and on the right is the photo of Professor Borut Jereb. Here we have short biographies of the authors. I am teaching assistant at the University of Maribor Faculty of Logistics, and Borut Jereb is full professor at the same faculty. The issue of business environment quality for small and medium enterprises represents a field of scientific research. SMEs have several specific characteristics related to their limited size, lower level of diversification, low capital strength, limited market, and also higher risk. On the other hand, they are more flexible as they can adapt quickly to new conditions, have closer contact with customers, and are very important for economy employment. Due to the small number of employees in the selected business and high market demand, they have failed to introduce a process approach so far, which will be the topic of this presentation. We will proceed with a short literature review. So, as we know, logistics is a planning orientation and framework that seeks to create a unified plan for the flow of products and information through business. On the other hand, supply chain management is based on this framework and seeks to link and coordinate the other stakeholders' processes in the channel. The ISO 9001-2015 standard is based on 7 quality management principles, including the process approach, which helps the company plan its processes, activities, and their interactions. With process approach, control over processes and their activities is enabled, and it can be used for their optimization. The aim of our research was to optimize the existing process approach of the selected small business due to the desire for long-term effectiveness, cost efficiency, and market competitiveness. For the purpose of real SME environment improvement of performance, we made a proposal for the problem solution, which represents an improved and optimized process approach based on critical analysis and ISO 9001 standard. The research question of our paper is whether the proposed process approach will meet the needs of the selected SME and they will be ready to implement it into their business. The research began with the current state of studied boutique manufacturing SME of plexiglass products. We divided the current state into a snapshot, which covers all companies' internal fundamental processes, and critical analysis, which we performed based on the snapshot and interviews with employees. As said, companies' fundamental processes were observed, 5 of them, and the snapshot of current process approach is presented as a flowchart that shows the selected processes execution using graphic symbols. The critical analysis provided insight into individual internal activities and revealed potential problems and obstacles within the process. We eliminated ineffective and redundant activities while including optimized ones, which would help with efficiency of SME's business. As mentioned, the selected company has 5 fundamental processes, but for this presentation, we opted for one of them as an example of the research, which is the demand and supply process. On this picture, you can see the current process of demand and supply. So As for the first activity, the CEO is responsible for reviewing demands and preparing offers. However, certain demands and offers are also regulated by employees. For the second activity, demand is reviewed and an offer is made on its basis. The latter must include information on material type, quantity, estimated time of product completion, and its price. The regular delivery time or completion time for finished products in this SME is approximately 14 days. After this, the offer is then forwarded to the customer, who must confirm it, as we can see on the control point 1. If the customer doesn't confirm the offer, maybe some corrections or changes can be made, and the process continues in the remaking of the offer, which is control point 1.2. In this case, customers need to provide new information specifying the changes or corrections. It is also possible that the customer doesn't agree with the made offer and doesn't want any corrections, in which case the business with the said customer is terminated. When the customer is satisfied with the prepared offer, he must provide the SME with an order form which contains information about the order quantity and personal data. In the current process approach, so in this picture you can see, the CEO has to check whether the customer is their regular customer or if it is a small order. So this is control point 2.2. If the customer is new or if the order is large, a pro forma invoice is made, which is presented with activity 3. Once the latter has been paid and the SME receives the proof of payment, activity 4, they have to verify the identity of the receipt, which is followed by an order confirmation from the company, activity 5. So if the customer is their regular customer or the order is smaller, the activities of issuing a pro forma invoice are redundant. At the time of the pandemic, the SME found out that doing business based on the type of customer or size of the order was not always smart. If customer doesn't want to accept the product, the company would be protected in case of payment of the pro forma invoice. So in our improved process, we have integrated the sales process, which was last in current process approach. So now improved process is visible on the right side of presentation. We improved this process by including sale process because of the challenges that arose in cases of non-payment or non-acceptance of products. As we mentioned, the regular delivery time of finished products was somewhere about 14 days, depending also on the product complexity. Here we present the first improvement. If a customer wants a different delivery time or completion time, they must be willing to pay for it. So for example, if the customer wants the product in 1 week, the price is 10% higher. If they want the product in 1 day, the price is 40% higher. Or if the product has to be done in 3 weeks or more, the product price would be lower for 5 to 10%. This improvement would enable customers to decide whether they want a different product time completion, which is now the new activity 3. The company has already tried to introduce such a system, and it turned out that pre-production of products is no longer so much important if it has to be paid for. Regardless of this, all customers should pay a pro forma invoice, which would be the new activity 4. Consequently, this is our next proposed improvement. As we said before, the customers have to pay for the product and send the proof of payment. When the company receives the proof of payment, which is now activity 5, the customer's order can be accepted by the company, which is now activity 6. Thus, the SME would no longer have problems with defaulters or unclaimed finished products, as the work order, this is now activity 7, would be made only in the case of a settled pro forma invoice, and then the product production process could start. Based on the order and order form, the CEO has to decide which product production process is next. As we can see on the picture, this is control point 3. So product production process is divided into 2 parts. We have custom product production and retail product production process. So activities after this continue in the next process. In the improved demand and supply process, we have integrated the sales process. This was done based on the challenges that arose in case of non-payment and non-acceptance of products. The initial activities remained the same, as introduced improvements were found towards the end of the process. The introduced improvements were: arranging demands and offers would be left to the CEO so that employees can have more time for product production. If the company would employ more than one person, the demands and offers could be arranged by an employee. Amongst the significant improvements are the information about expected completion time of the product, and lastly, payment of a pro forma invoice for all the customers. In order to achieve tangible results, we prepared a table where we divided the proposed changes into 7 areas, within which there are 25 proposed improvements. We evaluated the improvements using a 3-point scale: 0 for non-implementation, 0.5 for partial implementation, and 1 for total implementation. The research question of our paper was whether the proposed process approach would meet the needs of the selected SME, and they will be ready to implement it into their business. We concluded the research question with a confirmation, as the company immediately started to implement some of the suggested improvements. Thus, the proposed optimized process approach was immediately but gradually implemented. The partial implementation has made it possible to plan financial investments based on the implemented demand forecasting into currently 1 new employment, purchase of a tablet for the purpose of software and graphic schemes design, and new machinery. Based on the obtained data, we also propose some further research suggestions. Examining the market for raw material processing providers for the purpose of material recycling. Based on this, another research proposal would be a study on the processing of plexiglass material into raw material for the studied SME. And as the last proposal, researching external companies' processes. This would enable optimization on a broader scale, which would provide significant opportunities for even greater optimization of the selected SME. I would like to thank you for your time and wish you a good day.